I used to work at a grocery store, and every single Friday night, the same man would come in and he would buy out all the rubbing alcohol that we had in stock. But even weirder, I started being able to predict when he would enter the store. It didn't matter where I was standing because all of the hair on the back of my neck and my arms would stand up and I could tell he had entered. This story was submitted by someone named Amy. It's very short, but it is very weird. So if anyone has any theories on what this man was doing with all this rubbing alcohol or why he seemed to target her, let me know. She worked at the store in the 1990s, and every single Friday night between 10 and 11 p.m., this same man who appeared to be early 30s, he was very tall, very thin, and very pale, but he always wore dark clothing, which stood in stark contrast to how pale he was. He would come in. He never said a word to anybody, and it did not matter how much rubbing alcohol the store had in stock. They even started stocking more because they came to expect him. He would buy it all. And then, regardless of where Amy was working in the store or which register, he would seek her out, and he would have her check him out, ring him up, and bag his items without ever saying a single word. She said she was always creeped out whenever he was in her presence, but he never said anything threatening. He would just stare at her as she bagged up his items, and then he would leave. But she was very happy when she finally was able to quit the store, and she thought, I'm never going to have to see that man again. She moved a couple of hours away out to go off to college, and she got another job at a grocery store local to where she was living then. But of course, the story gets weirder because she said after she switched to the new grocery store by her college, she was working the first Friday night, and it was around 10 p.m. when all of a sudden all of the hair on the back of her neck stood up, all of the hair on her arms stood up, and she had that feeling of like, oh no, he's here. But then she was like, no, I switched stores. This just must be because I'm expecting him. It's that time of night. She's like, I must really just have been conditioned because this guy must have just really gotten under my skin. Then a few minutes go by and she looks up and she sees that in her line is this man, even though they're several hours away from where she's from. Again, he's got a number of bottles of rubbing alcohol. She doesn't say anything. She just checks him out and he stares at her the entire time. She bags up his items. He leaves, but she told her boss that night that she needed to be off by 10 p.m. on Friday nights, and she never saw him again. She said obviously it's been years. She hasn't seen or heard from the man since, luckily, but she still wonders what that man was doing with all of that rubbing alcohol and how he found her after she switched towns. Let her know your thoughts and theories. I know this one was short, but I like the weird ones like this.